The objectives of this educational outreach are to share information on the legal mandate, responsibilities of the Integrity Commission, the National Anti-Corruption Framework, the Commission's best practices, and building an anti-corruption culture in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Our core values are confidentiality, security, impartiality, and service. First of all, we carry out these functions and exercises the powers pursuant to the provisions of the Integrity in Public Life Act and the Prevention of Corruption Act. We receive and examine all declarations filed pursuant to the provisions of the Act. We make such inquiries as it considers necessary in order to verify or determine the accuracy of a declaration filed pursuant to the provisions of the Act. We also investigate and conduct the conduct of any person falling under the purview of the Commission, which in the opinion of the Commission may be considered dishonest or conducive to corruption.
Sharing very briefly with you from the Integrity in Public Life Act, and I would ask how many of you would have read this act? Those of you aspiring to lead us in politics, how many of you would have, I don't want to say read it from cover to cover, I like to do that, but how many of you are familiar with or would have read the Integrity in Public Life Act? So, we have at least one person who was also here with us on a previous training who would have looked at that act. But what I would urge you to do is that all of you who are aspiring to public life and public service read especially the Integrity in Public Life Act, the Prevention of Corruption Act, and those of you who are going to lead ministries and departments and commissions and committees, you would need to be very familiar with the Proceeds of Crime Act and the Public Procurement and Disposal of Property Acts. But I will share very briefly with you, with respect to the Integrity in Public Life Act, that there is a code of conduct in the 6th schedule of that act, further to section 40, by which those of you in public life or aspiring to public life will be bound or are bound. And it's very, very important for you to read this. Integrity begins with us, not only as commissioners, members of the staff, but with you as persons who have committed to give public service in the area of the political life of our nation.